Have you heard of Dr. Masaru Emoto's water experiment? He believed that words, thoughts, and emotions could alter the molecular structure of water. In one of his most controversial studies, he took water samples and exposed some to positive words such as love and gratitude, while others were given words such as hate and anger. By freezing these samples and observing the crystals formed, Emoto recorded beautiful patterns in the water exposed to positive words, symmetrical and harmonic shapes, while the crystals of the negative words were misshapen and chaotic. Now think, if words can change something as simple and essential as water, what wouldn't they do to your body, which is made up of more than 70% of it? Have you ever wondered if the way you talk to yourself is shaping the paths of your life without you even realizing it? This question seems far-fetched at first glance, but science and spirituality have been pointing in the same direction. The words you choose to use every day directly influence your thoughts, your emotions, your behavior, and ultimately, your reality. It's not just about forced positivity or cheap self-help. It's about neuroscience, mental patterns, subconscious programming. Words are not just instruments of communication. They are commands, they are codes, and more than that, they are seeds. Imagine a small child growing up in an environment where they hear every day that they are stupid, clumsy, insufficient. Years later, that child becomes an adult, insecure, afraid to take risks, thinking they're not good enough. All this because someone planted words as if they were absolute truths, and their brain believed it. The human mind does not easily distinguish between a statement that has been said repeatedly and a lived experience. This means that the more we repeat a phrase, the more it becomes a fact in our psyche. And the scariest thing, many of these phrases are said by ourselves, about ourselves every day. Without realizing it, we are building walls with words, limiting our own horizons with automatic phrases that we have inherited from family, from school, from society. Words are not just sounds that escape our mouths. They are codes that the brain interprets as orders. And this isn't theory, it's science. In 2005, researchers from the University of Chicago published a study that revealed something impressive. They discovered that the choice of words can completely change the way the brain reacts to external stimuli. When participants heard negative terms such as pain or failure, areas of the brain associated with stress and anxiety were instantly activated. When they were exposed to words like peace or hope, the limbic system, responsible for emotions, behaved in a more balanced and positive way. This shows that every word you hear or pronounce can literally change your brain chemistry. And the most surprising thing is that this happens without us even realizing it. The human brain processes between 60,000 and 80,000 thoughts a day, most of which are subconscious. In other words, we are constantly talking to ourselves in silence, and the quality of these internal words is shaping our perception of the world. Dr. Andrew Newberg, neuroscientist and author of Words Can Change Your Brain, states that a single word has the power to influence the expression of our genes that regulate physical and emotional stress. Yes, a single word. This explains why repeating phrases like, "I'm a failure" or "I'll never succeed" isn't just harmful, it's destructive. This idea, however, is not new. Long before modern neuroscience, ancient cultures already understood the vibrational impact of speech. In ancient Egypt, for example, the word was believed to be a creative force, so much so that Egyptian priests used chants and verbal declarations as instruments of healing and energy manipulation. Centuries later, Hermes Trismegistus, the central figure of Hermeticism, proclaimed that as above, so below, as within, so without, suggesting that internal reality, shaped largely by the words we choose, manifests itself in the external world. Today, even outside of spirituality, leaders of large companies, coaches of Olympic athletes, and cognitive psychologists use language as an essential tool to achieve goals. It's no coincidence that giants like Google and Amazon have training courses focused on positive communication. The aim is clear: to use language as a catalyst for performance, focus, and mental clarity. This is because it is already known that exchanging destructive words for constructive expressions not only improves the environment, but also has a direct impact on results. To understand the power of words is to understand that you have an invisible remote control in your hands, capable of tuning your mind to more positive, productive, and healthy experiences. And the button to change the channel is in your mouth. Every sentence you say is building or destroying your next reality. So the question remains, are you using words as a bridge or as a prison? The subconscious is like the operating system of the human mind. It processes information, stores memories, regulates automatic bodily functions, and most importantly, directly influences our perceptions and decisions. Unlike the conscious mind, which actively analyzes and chooses information, the subconscious absorbs everything without filters. It doesn't question, it doesn't judge, it just registers and executes commands. And these commands most often come from the words we repeat on a daily basis. What does this mean in practice? It means that if you constantly tell yourself, "I'm unlucky," your subconscious will accept that statement as absolute truth. This is because it operates by repetition and association. Over time, it will start looking for evidence to confirm this belief, ignoring any evidence to the contrary. This phenomenon is called confirmation bias, a psychological principle that shows how our mind focuses only on what reinforces our pre-existing convictions. If you believe that you will never succeed, your brain will highlight every situation that reinforces this idea, even if there are countless opportunities around you. This mechanism can be explained by neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reconfigure itself based on repetitive experiences and patterns. Harvard University studies show that people who regularly practice positive affirmations develop new neural connections, facilitating a more optimistic and resilient mindset. This is because, by repeating an idea consistently, we create neural trails that make that thought an automatic reflex. Now imagine that your subconscious is a garden. Every word and thought is a seed. If you plant seeds of fear, insecurity, and scarcity, that's the kind of reality that will grow around you. But if you choose to plant confidence, determination, and prosperity, you will see these qualities manifesting naturally in your life. The problem is that many of these seeds were planted without us being aware of it. From childhood, we absorb beliefs from our parents, teachers, and society. Phrases like "money is dirty," "relationships are difficult," or "working hard is the only way to win" are subconscious programming that may be sabotaging your potential without you even realizing it. The same plasticity that has shaped you over the years can be used to create new patterns. The first step is to become aware of the words you use frequently. The second is to replace limiting statements with empowering ones. When you say, "I'm learning to cope better with challenges," instead of "I can never do anything right," you are literally rewiring your brain. And as this new language becomes natural, your reality begins to change. Because in the end, what you believe deeply becomes true. By the way, if this content is making sense to you so far, take advantage of this moment and like the video. It really helps to spread this message. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, subscribe now to continue receiving content like this that provokes thought and can transform the way you communicate with the world. Taking responsibility for the words we use is one of the most transformative steps towards changing our own reality. This is because the language we choose not only describes our lives, but also defines how we feel, react, and face challenges. The problem is that most of the time, we speak without realizing the real weight of each expression. Words like, "I can't," "It's impossible," or "That's just me" seem harmless, but they carry a force capable of shaping our thoughts and behavior. Psychologist Albert Bandura, creator of the theory of self-efficacy, showed that the way we talk about our abilities directly influences our results. He discovered that individuals who reinforce positive beliefs about themselves face challenges with more determination and consequently are more likely to succeed. In other words, what we say about ourselves can either propel us forward or trap us in cycles of failure. This effect can be observed in practice. Someone who constantly claims to be bad at math tends to avoid situations that involve calculations, reinforcing the belief that they really don't have the ability. In addition to the internal impact, our words also have a profound effect on the people around us. Social psychology studies indicate that children who grow up hearing destructive criticism develop higher levels of anxiety and low self-esteem. This is because the human brain processes negative messages more intensely than positive ones, a phenomenon called negativity bias. This means that one disparaging comment can have a longer-lasting and more profound effect than several words of encouragement. In light of this, the question we must ask ourselves is, are we using our communication to build or to destroy? To be aware of speech is to understand that every word has an impact. When we constantly complain, we are training our brain to focus on the problem instead of the solution. When we label someone negatively, we may be reinforcing an insecurity they already have. And when we speak harshly about ourselves, we are giving direct orders to the subconscious to limit us. We can choose words that strengthen us, inspire others, and create healthier connections. Small changes in the way we express ourselves can bring about big transformations. Instead of saying, "I can never do it," we can say, "I'm still learning." Swapping "everything goes wrong for me" for "I'm looking for new solutions" may seem subtle, but the psychological impact of this change is profound. At the end of the day, every word that comes out of our mouth is a choice. And the way we choose to speak today defines the reality we will live in tomorrow. The question is, what kind of world do you want to build with your words? Long before science began to investigate the impact of words on the brain, various spiritual traditions already taught that language is a tool for creation. Religions, esoteric philosophies, and sacred texts in various cultures affirm that the way we express ourselves has a direct effect on our energy and reality. In Christianity, for example, there is the famous passage, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." John 1:1. This passage suggests that the word is not just a means of communication, but an active principle of manifestation. The concept that speech has power also appears in various aspects of Hinduism and Buddhism. Mantras, which are words or phrases repeated with intention, have been used for millennia as a way of attuning the mind to higher states of consciousness. It is believed that the vibration generated by repeating these words can change an individual's energy field and even influence their destiny. This idea is not restricted to the East. The ancient Egyptians believed that names carried a vital force and that pronouncing certain words correctly could activate invisible forces in the universe. In modern metaphysics, there is the principle that reality responds to the vibration of words and thoughts. This concept is widely explored in the so-called law of attraction, which has gained notoriety in recent years. The basic premise is that what we verbalize and feel intensely ends up materializing in our lives because the universe responds to the frequency we emit. This principle is connected to quantum physics studies, which indicate that matter, in its most fundamental essence, is energy in motion. In other words, everything that exists is vibrating at a certain frequency level, and our words can alter this pattern. One of the most fascinating experiments suggesting this relationship between vibration and matter was conducted by Dr. Masaru Emoto, who studied the effects of intention and words on the structure of water. According to his experiments, water molecules exposed to positive, harmonious words formed beautiful, symmetrical crystals, while those subjected to negative expressions showed chaotic patterns. Although the study has been criticized for lacking scientific rigor, it reinforces the idea present in various spiritual traditions. What we say affects the energy around us. Whether from a religious, esoteric, or scientific perspective, the fact is that there is an age-old consensus on the influence of words on human experience. They don't just describe reality, they shape and direct our journey. Therefore, by consciously choosing the words we use every day, we are not only transforming our mind, but also adjusting our attunement to the world around us. The question is, what kind of energy do you want to attract with the words you choose? If there is one thing that has become clear so far, it is that words have a power that goes far beyond what we imagine. They influence our brain, shape our perception, affect our subconscious, and can even determine the direction of our life. From scientific studies to spiritual beliefs, one thing is certain. What we say and think on a daily basis shapes the reality in which we live. But knowing this, an inevitable question arises. Are we using this knowledge to our advantage or against ourselves? Most people repeat patterns without realizing it. Negative expressions have become so automatic that they seem harmless, but in practice, they are programming our minds for failure, limitations, and fear. By repeatedly stating that there is no way, my life never changes, or things always go wrong for me, you are giving direct instructions to your subconscious to find proof of these statements. The opposite is also true. When we consciously choose words that inspire, empower, and bring clarity, we create a new neural pathway, one that leads to solutions, opportunities, and growth. This doesn't mean ignoring problems or living in an illusory world. It means understanding that the way we describe our experiences has a direct impact on how we deal with them. Those who see themselves as victims of chance rarely take action to change their own story. But those who understand that they have control over their speech and use words to direct their energy inevitably begin to see real changes around them. The responsibility is in our hands. We can continue to speak without thinking, feeding insecurities and doubts, or we can use language as a tool for transformation. Change begins the moment we decide to pay attention to what we say, replacing self-sabotaging phrases with empowering statements. Small adjustments in the way we speak may seem like insignificant details, but over time, they make all the difference. In the end, every word we choose is a brick in the construction of our reality. What you say to yourself today determines what you will experience tomorrow. So, faced with this, what will your choice be? Are you going to keep repeating speeches that keep you in the same place, or are you going to start building a different path with words that take you forward? Because the truth is simple. What you verbalize, you materialize. Now it's up to you. If this content made sense, don't stop here. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any content. Now, watch this next video, where I show you another essential step to change your reality.